Hi everyone, today we're going to do a short video about mastering interviews. One of the most important things for you to understand about an interview is the purpose of the interview. The interviewer wants to get to know you as a person. They're not trying to catch you, they're not trying to pull one over on you. They really just want to see if you're a good fit for the team and if you're personable and you would be easy to work with. So let's talk about the two most common interview questions. The first one is tell me about yourself, and the next one is why do you want to work for this company? So here's how to answer tell me about yourself. Use a little bit of personal information, but nothing sensitive, and always tie the answer back to why you're the best person for the job. So you can say your class year, your major, a little bit about any experience that you've had, and why you're most interested in the field or in that specific job. So here's an example. I'm a senior English major with a concentration in business at the University of Dallas. I did a social media marketing internship last summer, and I do all the digital media for a campus club. So I'm really interested in how online content can be used to build brands. So something that hits all of those things tells a little bit about you, because what you're basically doing here is showing the interviewer what you think is important about you. Don't get too personal. Don't mention your family situation. Don't mention whether or not you're married or engaged or anything about your family, your kids, anything like that. Keep it to the professional. So here's how to answer why do you want to work for ABC Company. This is really, really important because you are showing the employer that you've pictured yourself in this position and that this is a position that you really have thought a lot about and that you find that your values align with the company's values. So in order to do that, you have to do your research and you need to go beyond the information that's just on the website. You need to look at the company's social media feeds, their LinkedIn, profiles of some of their employees, look for news articles, trade publications, anything you can that helps you dig just a little bit deeper than just what happens when you Google the company's name. Try to understand their values and be prepared to relate how their values align with your values. And show the interviewer that you didn't just randomly apply to a job posting. So here's an example. I'm very interested in working for ABC Company because my research has shown me that helping your customers is a top priority, and I want to be part of an organization that values helping people. I also see that you give back to the community in many ways, and that's something I value as well. So I've aligned what the company says their values are with what my values are, and that's automatically going to make the interviewer feel like that you would be a good fit. So behavioral-based questions make up the majority of interviews, and those are the questions that start off with something like, tell me about a time, or tell me about a situation in which you did this, or tell me about a time when you had to do this. And they're very common interview questions, and there's a method for answering those, and it's called the STAR method. And STAR stands for situation, task, action, and result. So basically, when you get a question like, tell me about a time when you had to work on a team or something like that, then the first thing you're going to do is give some context, describe the situation. If it was a class project, tell a little bit about the class and what the project was. For task, what you want to do is give details about your responsibility. If you're talking about a time you worked on a team and it was when you were a server at a restaurant, describe what your responsibilities were, what you were required to do in the particular situation, and set it all up with situation and task. And then for action, talk about the actions that you took to solve the problem. If it was a negative situation, talk about the actions of the team and what was going on in the environment. But talk about exactly what happened in the situation. And then result, describe the results of your actions. And that's so in other words, if it's a class project, you might say, and we received a good grade and the professor was pleased with our work. So one bonus note to that is if you can talk about what you learned from the experience, then you'll show a level of self-awareness that the interviewer will appreciate. So especially if it was a situation that maybe didn't turn out the way you wanted, if you talk about what you learned, then you show a level of maturity and self-awareness that employers are looking for. So here's some common interview questions. What accomplishment are you most proud of? Tell me about a time when you worked on a team. What was your role and what were the results? Tell me about a time when you were given a task and no direction. Tell me about a time when you had to juggle multiple priorities. So when you're thinking about your answers to these questions, think about the STAR method and how to set up the situation, describe what happened, what you did and what your role was, and what the results were. Addressing negative questions. So these seem to be the ones that students and everyone has the hardest time with. So these are things like, tell me about a time you failed. Tell me about a time you disagreed with a coworker or a team member. Or even, what's your greatest weakness? And the way to answer negative questions is, number one, to answer honestly. Don't try to say, oh, I've never failed, or I've never had any problems with my coworkers, because everyone has. It seems disingenuous. Always reflect on what you learned from the situation and discuss how you're working to improve. So if it's about a time that you failed and you want to say, I got overwhelmed and I didn't turn in all my assignments and I had a bad grade at midterms. So what I did was I realized I needed to start making lists of all my assignments and dedicate a certain amount of time for each class. Something like that, where you talk about the actions that you took to make sure that this situation didn't happen again. That's the most important part, is to show what you learned, to show that you're self-aware, that you understand that you can make mistakes, but that you recovered from those mistakes and you learned something from the process. Always expect the unexpected. And it's kind of hard with that because there's some crazy interview questions out there. If you were an animal, what kind would you be? What's the most recent book you read? What's in your backpack? What do you think you've done that's prepared you for this job? The best way to be prepared for unexpected questions is to know your resume, know your stories, look back at your experience, and try to imagine different situations that happened that you learned from while you were in that experience. And if you have a really good feel for your stories and the experience that you gained from your different jobs, then you'll be able to answer some of these off-the-wall questions. And it's fine to take a moment to think before you answer. Finally, you must ask the interviewer questions. If the interviewer says, do you have any questions for me? And you say nope, then that's absolutely not the right thing. You need to be able to ask questions to show the interviewer that you have pictured yourself in this role and that you really want to know how you can succeed in this role. Here's some examples. Give me an idea of the projects, of the types of projects that this role usually does. Can you describe a day in the life of someone in this position? What do you like best about working for this company? Finally, for virtual interview tips, make sure that your background is clean and non-distracting. I've been seeing a lot lately of people with ceiling fans on in the background. Be sure and turn off your ceiling fan because it's very distracting. Dress nicely. It's hard to be overdressed for these things, and you'll surprise a lot of people if you actually, if young men have a coat and tie on, young ladies in a nice top can really go a long way. And be sure to smile. Look at the camera as much as you can and just feel engaged and be engaged, and it will come across the video, and it will really show. Instead of leaning back in your chair and relaxing, lean forward, engage with the camera, engage with the questions, and smile. So, hey, that's it. So check out our website or our YouTube channel for more short videos. Thanks.